Let's snap a quick photo. There we go. Let's do another one. So check that out. Hey everyone, Digital David here. Today in this video, I'm gonna be checking out the MSI Creator 17 professional laptop. I did receive this product to review, but any opinion expressed in this video is strictly my own. The brand's not seeing this video until you are seeing this video. If you're interested in this Creator laptop, the link to it will be in the video description. Here's how it comes packaged in a very simple and generic retail box with a couple of product specs for you on the side, MSI logo and branding, but that's about it. Now let's go ahead, let's open it up and look at the contents. This video is sponsored by Software Keep. Shop software products ranging from one user to enterprise licenses. Their software includes Microsoft Office, Microsoft 365, Windows 10 and 11, along with antivirus for PC and Mac users. For my viewers, they are offering an additional 20% off site-wide using code DD20, so be sure to enter code DD20 at checkout today. Inside the box, you're going to find two more boxes. The first box has our power supply and adapter. We'll look at that in a minute. The second box has the laptop itself with our MSI logo and branding on the top, as well as the sides. It also says content creation. This is a laptop for content creators. On the back side of the box, we have our product specs right here. 16 gigs of DDR4 RAM, 1 terabyte SSD. We have the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3070 GPU. And our CPU is the Intel Core i7-11800H processor, which has 8 cores, 16 threads, and our max turbo frequency of 4.6 gigahertz. Now let's go ahead, let's open this up and look at the laptop. Here are all the contents. First up, we have our product literature featuring an MSI customer service and contact card, followed by our warranty information. This laptop does come with a 12-month warranty, F3 hotkey recovery function, and our MSI user guide and manual in multiple languages, walking us through everything that we need to know about our new laptop. Next, we have our power supply and adapter right here with all included cables. Check that out. Can see more technical information on the power supply adapter. Lastly, we have the laptop itself. Let's go ahead, let's look at that in more detail. Look at the laptop up close. Everything looks really nice. At the top, we have the MSI logo and branding. You may notice some fingerprints and smudges. This will show them when you're handling it. Here it is from the front side. A little divot there so we can easily open up the laptop. Here it is from the right-hand side. Battery indicator light, USB Type-C, SD card reader, Thunderbolt 4, HDMI, Kensington security lock. Looking at it from the back side, we have Creator 17 right there. That's really cool. Here it is from the left side. So we have our audio combo jack, USB Type-A ports, 2 of them, Ethernet, and we have our power plug. Looking at it from the back side, we have our Windows sticker, HDMI sticker, MSI product info. If we ever have any questions, need help with support, factory seal, additional venting down below. I like all the different rubber feet that we have there in the design. This looks really cool. And I gotta say, I'm definitely a big fan of the color. So this core black color looks really, really nice. And looking at it from the side, get a feel for the thickness of this laptop. Now let's go ahead, let's open it up. Ooh, let's go. Look at this. So we can remove this out of the way. We have a full keyboard here, even with our 10 keys on the side, which is great. NVIDIA GeForce RTX. Again, we got the 3070 inside and our Intel Core i7. Love those stickers. True Pixel display, 4K, HDR 1000, Delta E less than 2 with true color technology, fingerprint sensor, nice trackpad. It's clicky too, I love that. Speaker grills, MSI logo and branding right there. Webcam, all the goodies there. Everything looks great. Now let's go ahead and power it up. So we have our PC plugged in, powered on. Windows setup was simple and straightforward. Now it's time for us to sign in. I went ahead, I added a fingerprint. So let's see how fast and responsive that is. Check it out. Everything works great. We have not installed any additional program software or anything like that. The only thing we've done so far is make sure that Windows was up to date with all of our software and driver installations. So with that being said, you're looking right here at the tiles of all the included software. We did not download any of this. This is what's going to be included with the laptop. So we have the Disney Plus app. We have Microsoft Office for a trial here, as well as Skype. We have our lovely MSI software suite. Norton Security. I'd recommend getting rid of this personally if you're not paying or a Norton subscriber. Just use what Microsoft provides. This is very system intensive in my opinion. But to each their own. Skype, Spotify again. So there's a lot of apps. I guess you could technically call it bloatware because we didn't necessarily want it. But at least it's things like LinkedIn, Disney Plus, Spotify, a lot of popular apps that a lot of people are going to be using. Let's go ahead, let's pull up our main drive. So you can see out of the 1 terabyte drive, we have 931 gigabytes for our total size and 869 gigabytes of usable space right out of the box. Again, we haven't installed anything ourselves besides the recommended updates. So usable space out of the 1 terabyte advertised is going to be 869 gigabytes. While we're talking about the SSD, I thought we'd look at some benchmarks for this particular drive. First up, we're looking at Crystal Disk Mark. We got a read score of 6,024 megabytes per second and a write score of 4,806 megabytes per second. That is really, really fast. We're getting PCIe 4.0 speeds with this laptop and our M.2 drive. I love seeing that. That's fantastic. And then using ASSSD, we're getting similar results, but they are lower as expected with this benchmarking tool. That's always the case. We're showing 5,141 megabytes per second for our read speed, and we're showing 4,273 megabytes per second for our write speed. It's good to know with this laptop, the bottleneck, if there is going to be any, is not going to be your hard drive, right? That's really important if you want to get really fast copy and paste speeds as well as rendering and exporting files to the drive. This is going to give you fantastic PCIe 4.0 speeds. Now let's take a look at browsing the web with this laptop. Obviously this is a simple task, but something you're going to find yourself doing very often with a laptop like this. We have our beautiful 4K resolution here with 120 Hertz for our refresh rate. So we have a couple of popular websites pulled up. We have YouTube Trending. Check this out. Very nice to browse. Everything's clear, crisp, super responsive. And having that really high refresh rate is really nice. If you're doing some endless scrolling and browsing, very smooth. We have The Verge, a popular tech blog. Look at all different images, different fonts, titles, headers, all that good stuff. Ads are loading. So you get the idea here. Fluid, responsive, clear, and crisp. Let's go ahead. Let's just click on an article. Pay attention again. Different colors, different fonts, the images, the ads, embedded tweets. Really nice for browsing and consuming content. And lastly, a popular e-commerce website. If you're going to do some online shopping. Again, everything looks really nice, working great, very enjoyable. Surfing and browsing the web with this laptop. Now for something more productive than browsing the web, we have the built-in webcam. The first thing I want to show you is some of the different camera settings that we have. So we have our main layout right here. We can choose between our video and photo modes. We have these little arrows again, so you just click to toggle between the two. We can view past photos down here. And in the top left-hand corner, we have all of our settings. So we can choose to turn Pro Mode on to get access to a couple more advanced controls. So we can set our framing grid if we want. We can adjust our photo quality. So 0.9 megapixels at 1280 by 720 is the best that we're going to get. We can set a time lapse. This has a 720p camera at 30 FPS. And we have our flicker reduction between 50 and 60 Hertz. So that's our quick camera settings. Don't forget we have a timer option. And we can adjust the brightness right here on our own. Everything is auto at the moment, and it's tracking my face very nicely and adjusting everything accordingly. Not bad for the really, really bright lights that we have behind me and all throughout this studio. For a 720p camera, this is about as good as it gets in my opinion. First, let's go ahead, let's snap a quick photo. There we go, let's do another one. So check that out. Now let's go ahead and take a sample video. Here's your sample video on our MSI Creator laptop. Let me know what you think about it. You're listening to the raw mic audio from the laptop, and obviously you're looking at the 720p footage. This is your webcam sample test. The MSI Creator 17 laptop is equipped with a really nice backlit keyboard. We have really bright studio lights on here, and the keys are fully illuminated. You can see everything very clearly. So the lights are super bright. They're not even getting washed out here in the studio with all of our lighting. Lights are off. Here's the backlit keyboard again. Very even lighting, very bright. For a premium laptop like this, you should definitely get a backlit keyboard, so it's nice to see that we do have one included. And I gotta say, this is a full keyboard right here and very enjoyable to type on, at least for my own personal preferences. So I really like this keyboard, and the backlighting is great. Now it's time to test out the built-in speakers to hear how everything sounds. We're gonna play a couple seconds of the song Claim Your Victory by Music Chef. Music Chef is home to free stream-safe music for content creators to use. We got our volume turned all the way up. Let's go ahead and give it a listen. We got our speakers right here on both sides. Hold it up to the mic. You know, it's really so subjective, but here's what I want to say about the speakers. So, if you're going to be using this on the go, you're away from your normal setup, maybe you have some external speakers, things like that. In my opinion, this is definitely good enough to get the job done if you're making a quick edit, things like that. Or if you just want to listen, you know, and watch video, stream content like that, you're not going to be disappointed with the laptop speakers. But keep in mind, have a realistic expectation. These are still laptop speakers. Now it's time to talk about the display. We're going to look at this in more detail. So first up, in our Windows settings, we're at our advanced display options. You can see currently we're getting our full 4K resolution of 3840 by 2160 at 120 Hertz for our refresh rate with our 8-bit depth. And we have a couple options. We have 60 or 120. I definitely would recommend 120. It's very, very smooth. Now let me show you that 120 Hertz in action. On the display, we have our UFO test with 3 different FPS values, 30 FPS at the bottom, 60 FPS in the middle, and 120 FPS at the top. All of this being displayed at 120 Hertz. You can see having that higher refresh rate, pairing it with a higher FPS value makes for a very smooth viewing experience. A lot of laptops are capped at 60 Hertz for their display, so you would be seeing 60 FPS at 60 Hertz. Your UFO would look more like that than the 120 or the 30. But obviously you get the idea here. How drastic it is we can double that FPS value with a higher refresh rate screen. If we can match it, we get that really nice smooth footage, great for gameplay and just your overall viewing experience. The display on this laptop is top notch. We have MSI True Color pulled up right here. We have different viewing modes. So sRGB with what we can adjust right here. Adobe RGB, all the adjustments and mode settings. DCI P3, Display P3, our anti-blue light. We have our office mode, movie mode, custom settings right here. Then we also have this tools tab. So we have some additional options we can configure with the display, calibration options. Then we have some additional options right here and a nice help section if you have any questions. Let's go ahead now. We're going to cycle between the different modes again, but this time we'll have a video up so you can see how it changes the image. So first up, we have sRGB, Adobe RGB, DCI P3, Display P3, Anti-Blue, Office, Movie, and then we have our custom. So we'll go through that again. Click through each one. So obviously they're all going to have an effect and change on the image. So just choose whatever one works best for the application that you're in at that time, or maybe just your own personal viewing preferences. I think they all look really nice. Adobe RGB looks great. Movie, you get the idea here. So depending on maybe if you're doing some graphic design, things like that, or again, your eyes are fatigued, you're staring at it all day, you know you're going to have a long session looking at the screen. Maybe you want anti-blue, but you get the idea here. They all look really nice. We're going to dive into the display in a little bit more detail right here. On the laptop itself, they make a couple of claims that I wanted to see if they are true. The first one is 100% DCI P3. Second one is Delta E less than 2. And again, we just looked at the true color technology of this display. So we have a report on the screen from DisplayCal. Let me share some of the findings with you. First thing I want to point out is the sRGB coverage was measured at 99.8%. and the volume was measured at 156.7%. The Adobe RGB coverage was measured at 87.5%, and the RGB volume was 108. Lastly, DCI P3 coverage, we got 98.9%. So very close to the 100% claim. Again, we're not using the same equipment that a manufacturer has access to, and we got a volume of 111% for that. So for the first claim, I'd say so far, so good, very accurate. You can trust it. There's obviously going to be slight variation between laptop panel and every other laptop panel. Next up, in regards to Delta E, didn't matter which Delta E equation we were using, they all showed up under the actual value of being less than 2. So again, that claim appears to hold validity, so to speak. Our maximum Delta E we got using Delta E 2000 was 1.53, so again, well under 2. And for all the other measured values as well, you can see not even eclipsing 1. Per DisplayCal, it's great to see that, they recommend under 1 for all 3 of those values, and that's what we achieved. And they recommend under 3 for the maximum Delta E. And again, same thing, we're half the recommended range, which is great. Usually, too, when it comes to Delta E, you would have to be a trained professional, I believe, to notice anything under the value of 2. And then I'm not even sure how much below that anybody can actually tell after that, even if you're a trained professional, so to speak. So keep in mind, for the average user, or even somebody that's really needing some color sensitive work, this is going to be well within range of what you're going to want to be using to create your content. Now let's talk about this laptop and its cooling performance. So currently we have it under full load, and it's not being aired out or anything, so to speak. It's just resting on our desktop surface right here. So currently, we're showing CPU temp at 94 degrees Celsius. That's the max temp that we've got, and we've averaged 83.6 degrees Celsius under this full load Cinebench test. In regards to the GPU, currently we're at 56.9 degrees Celsius. That's also our maximum temp, and we've averaged 53.5 degrees Celsius. The fans are revving up at what appears to be full RPM. Now, just for fun, I got a FLIR camera, so let's go ahead, let's look at it through a thermal cam. All right, here's the back of the laptop. This area right here is very hot to the touch. I can't even leave my finger on there too long. I feel like it's just too uncomfortable, personally. I wouldn't want to have this on my lap with just bare skin on my legs. Keep that in mind. But again, this is under full load too, so depending on what you're doing, the tasks at hand, this could be a little bit extreme of a test. I thought it was interesting too. Looks like we probably have one of our fans right here, if I had to guess. And maybe right here on the other side, where they're a little bit cooler. That could also be because we have, maybe that slight ridge gap, whatever you want to call it, right here from the leg, giving it a little bit more airflow. But the fans are exhausting everything out right here on the side, so that's probably why it's cooler. But really warm on the back, especially right there. I wonder if that's where the CPU is. Pretty crazy. So over 52 degrees Celsius just at the surface right there, peeking through. But that's going to be what the laptop looks like from the FLIR cam. Now we're going to use this phone camera here. We're going to hold it up to the laptop so you can hear how the fan sounds. Again, this is under max load. You can get a feel for the fan noise. And you will be able to feel along the sides the warm air exhausting out of this laptop when those fans are worked up like they are. But there's a sample of the fan noise for you. It just so happens at the time of this review, I have two MSI laptops here, both with similar specs, so I thought we'd go ahead and benchmark them against each other. This is really helpful, especially if you're trying to mix and match which GPU you want, which CPU you want. So first up right here, we have the MSI Creator 17. This has the Intel 11800H and the NVIDIA RTX 3070. Whereas to my right, we have the MSI Creator Z16. This has the Intel 11900H and the NVIDIA RTX 3060. So slightly more powerful CPU, but not as powerful GPU. Slightly more powerful GPU, but not as powerful CPU. Let's go ahead and look at the results. We can show benchmarking charts all day, but I wanted to actually show footage of this laptop so you can get a feel for the gameplay. We have Forza 5 up right now, again, full 4K resolution. Everything looks so nice. The level of detail is just top notch. Superb display that really makes this a super enjoyable experience. Obviously having the RTX 3070 for our GPU helps as well. Beautiful 4K display. Up to you, do you want to push higher FPS values or do you want that higher resolution? You have the luxury to choose between either option. Look at the landscape, the lighting environment. This game itself is just so beautiful and it looks so nice on this laptop. Very, very easy to game on this. Obviously, you could use it for content creation, but if you did want to use it for gaming, you're not going to have any issues. You'll really enjoy how everything looks and performs. So there's a lot to enjoy about the MSI Creator 17 laptop, but there are some things I want to see improved and changed in the future. The first one is the webcam. So at a bare minimum, they need to improve the image quality and sensor and give us 1080p 60 FPS. They must have forgot about streamers on the go who want a nice all-in-one portable laptop and streaming solution. This laptop can do that. It just needs to have a better webcam, in my opinion. The second thing is, and maybe this is more concerning, is the fan noise and cooling. So typically when this laptop's running, I would say you will be able to hear the fans. They're not running right now basically at idle, but if you start using some applications, chances are the fan will eventually kick up and you'll be able to hear it. Obviously, if you're doing a really intense editing session, you have it under a heavy load, you'll definitely notice the fan noise. in light of the latest Apple MacBooks. I just can't believe how quiet they are. So when you have something like that versus this side by side, there's definitely a pretty substantial difference in noise. So the performance is great on this laptop, but it comes with a caveat, and that's going to be how loud and hot this laptop gets.